What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and that just figures, doesn't it? I take 3 games off because I can't film during that time. I can't do any recordings or reviews. And I'm thinking it may not be the worst thing in the world. 3 away games, one at Villa, who are flying high this season, one at Palace, who are doing terrible, but we tend to allow those teams that are having a terrible season to win that game that puts them back on their bump, you know? And Palace were in prime position for that. And then Man City. That's obviously going to be a difficult game, right? There's no way we're going to be getting anything out of that game, right? 2 wins and a draw. Never would have predicted it. So coming back into the first game that I can actually talk about, and we're facing Liverpool, and mostly Liverpool's B team. Mostly Liverpool's U21 side. And it figures that, of course, we're not going to get the win today. It figures that, of course, we're going to basically dominate the match, have so many chances, could have won multiple times, but not win, and go on and lose it in extra time with only a few minutes left. That figures, right? That just figures. So I do want to go ahead and talk about, though, some of the games before this one, because there is some stuff to discuss. First of all, looking at the Aston Villa match, the replay at Villa Park, I was going into that game thinking there's no way. We've been awful on the road. We've lost 6 out of 7. There's no way we're going to go there and we're going to get any sort of result in this FA Cup replay. And then we dominated them. It was a one-sided match. Now, Villa were not at their best, but we made them look even worse. We did play well. We did dominate that match. It was a great performance. And I will give Pochettino some credit because I'm going to rip into him a bit later. That match, I thought he set his tactics up very well. You know, he put Palmer up top, but it wasn't really a false 9. It was more he and Gallagher were your 2 attacking mids. Then you had, I think it was Madueke on the right and Jackson on the left. And whenever we were out of possession, that's what it looked like. That was your front 4. And then you had, obviously, Fernandez and Caicedo in the middle. You had the back 4, which I don't really remember who's playing the back 4 now. Pretty sure it was Chilwell and Badiashile, Disasi, and Gusto, maybe? I don't think Silva played that match. But anyways, that was how he set up, though. That was his front line. Whenever we won the ball back, it kind of became a back 3 sometimes. Like either Gusto or Disasi or whoever was on the right would drop in, and Chilwell would be basically the left wing back. Jackson would slide more central. Gallagher and Palmer would take turns kind of dropping off to receive the ball and try to make something happen. That worked a charm, honestly, because it allowed Gallagher and Palmer to kind of be the disruptors in the middle. It allowed Jackson to be more of a wing on defense so he could get back with his speed and help out. But then whenever we got the ball, it allowed Palmer to drop in and be the creative force that he can be. And it allowed Jackson to get down the center, coming in from the wide. And it almost kind of threw Villa off a little bit. Like they weren't really sure how to defend against that. And it gave Jackson some moments where he did manage to get into open spaces, or he did draw a defender out of position and it opened up space maybe for Chilwell on the left. So overall, I thought we set up really well for that. The problem was we went to Palace and he kept those tactics basically the exact same. And here's the thing. I know you don't want to change your tactics too much. However, there is something to be said about going to play against a team like Villa at their place and then going to play against a team like Palace at their place. It's going to be 2 very different matches. You know, Palace, they're hurting this season. You know, they are not doing well. They're looking to get a result. They're not exactly going to be as willing to step out as Villa was, which I think is something that helped us because it made it to where those fullbacks weren't really sure what to do in certain situations because they had to keep track of Madueke, then they had to keep track of Jackson, and they had to keep track of Chilwell. There was a lot of overloading that was happening that I think made it difficult for them to really come to terms with what was going on, whereas Palace were comfortable to sit back and then just look to hit us on the counter. They weren't throwing players forward that were being caught out of position or being, I guess, overwhelmed by those tactics. So it was something where maybe a little naive from Pochettino to decide we're going to do the same thing. But overall, I thought the quality showed through. A lot of these players, outside of, I would say, Mediweke, a lot of them are in a good run of form at the moment. And those two games were great performances, at least once the tactics got adjusted a little bit. Once he put in Nkuku on in the second half, I feel like things changed a little bit. It kind of allowed certain players to not not get stuck doing what they had to do against Villa, all that high press. I feel like Palace weren't really giving us that option because they were all too comfortable to just keep one guy forward, throw it long, and then just hope for the best. And then one time it worked out, and that's kind of what they were sitting on for a while until Gallagher finally scored. So it was one of those. He didn't start the game well, Pochettino, with his tactics. The players overall were a little slow. Second half, though, it felt like he changed things up a little bit, and Cuckoo comes on, which helped, I think. And then the players kind of rode the highs of that first goal that Gallagher put in, and then later on in the game. It did take a while, but we did finally manage to find our way through and win that game. So not a great overall performance for Palace or against Palace, but I do think it's one of those grinding results that sometimes you're going to encounter in the Premier League. Not every game is going to be easy, just run over the other team. Most of the time you're going to have to grind out results, especially when you're going on the road. So then that brings us to City. This is a game I had no faith. Especially after watching the Palace game, I'm thinking we barely made it out of there with all 3 points. 2 late goals to make it look more comfortable than it was. There's no way. I mean, City's going to run over us. They're in a good run of form right now. They're going to hit their stride. And then all of a sudden, we played like we were one of the best teams in the Premier League. We dominated that match. It was great performances all around. Very few players I can think of, at least in the starting 11, that I thought played poorly. I don't think anybody had a bad match in the starting 11. I think a couple of the subs, namely Nkuku and I think it was Cassidy, came on and kind of didn't really help us. In fact, it was him who ended up missing the block that led to the goal that equalized. But Nkuku especially, it felt like he needed to come on with the same energy that Jackson had to really keep us in the ascendancy because we had that outlet for most of the game. Jackson, Palmer, I thought were both doing a really good job. Even Sterling was doing a really good job of when we got it out of there, when we got out of that pressure, out of that mountain of pressure that City were pouring on us, we had those outlets that managed to keep the ball really well, and we kept possession a little bit, and it took some of that pressure off, and it made Man City have to rethink what they were doing because they weren't constantly in control. They were not constantly putting that pressure on us throughout most of the game. And I think that helps. Whenever you don't let City have all that possession, they're not able to string together passes nearly as well, and it does shake their confidence a little bit. Just that is the way that teams have found ways to get results against them. It's just most of the time the quality shows through. However, this is where I start to crap on Pochettino a little bit. He went way too defensive, way too fast. And I think part of that was also on Nkuku, because I think he was not being the outlet that we needed him to be, that Jackson was being for most of the game. But also, I mean, you took Palmer off, you took Sterling off. He took Gallagher off as well, I'm pretty sure. Or it was either he took off Gallagher or he took off Caicedo and dropped Gallagher in. I don't remember. But basically, he went to a back 5 and then had 2 holding mids that were not really getting forward anymore. And then his wings almost became more fullbacks. It was just way too defensive to the point where anytime we got the ball out, anytime we managed to clear it, it was right back at us. And City were starting to find that rhythm that they like to find. It was inevitable that they were going to score. And honestly, they could have gone on and scored another to win the game. So it was really dumb decision for Pochettino to go that defensive that early. Maybe with like 5 minutes left, maybe you can really pack it in and try to really throw everything on the goal line and just block every shot. He did it with like 20 minutes left, I think. That's way too much time. That's way too early to let Man City start dominating and controlling the game. You've got to be still disruptive throughout most of the match. So, a little frustrating, but again, I think a lot of the starting 11 really showed their quality and what they are capable of. So, obviously, all those players, they get to start again in the Carabao Cup final. I have no problem with that. However, once again, Pochettino decides, I'm going to go defensive for extra time. We're going to try to hold on to this. I'm guessing because Petrovic is supposed to be a great keeper for penalty kick shootouts. I mean, he did well in the shootout against Newcastle, but why would you want to do that? Especially considering, again, this is not Liverpool's A team. It's barely even their B team. Why would you not go for it? Why would you not throw everything trying to get that goal? Why would you sit back and let them put pressure on you? Why would you knock it around in the back slowly? Why would you take 3 or 4 touches trying to slow down the game against a bunch of kids? Why? What? Who in their right mind would think that's a good idea? Because I can answer that right now. Nobody in their right mind would. It's another example of Pochettino. No idea what I'm doing here. I'm just here to have a good time. It was stupid. It was a stupid decision, and it cost us. We couldn't even make it to penalties. And it honestly, it reminds me of the 2 times we lost when Tuchel was in charge to Liverpool. Both times, it felt like he was, okay, let's make it to penalty kicks. And we lost both penalty kick shootout. It was dumb the first time. It was even dumber the second time because we'd already lost on penalties before. But now here we are again in a final against Liverpool. We have a chance to win the game. We're in the ascendancy. We're playing well. We're the better team through most of the game. Get to extra time. All right, guys, let's take a step back. All right, let's just kind of knock it around, keep it nice and comfortable. Let's just make it to penalties. We got a good penalty kick keeper in there. I'm sure we'll do fine. Aw, man. All this sitting back has let Liverpool dominate the game until they scored. Damn, that sucks. Better luck next time. There might not be a next time, if I'm being honest. Because this is going to be a morale killer. I would not be surprised if we go to Leeds, or I don't remember, are they coming to us or are we going to them? Actually, I think we're at home. I wouldn't be surprised if they come in and just, oh, hey, they just lost. Let's take advantage of this. Let's take advantage of the fact that they're probably hurting right now. They're probably not feeling good about themselves. Let's go do this. We just had to play extra time, 30 extra minutes today, which is going to be a killer on the legs. It's stupid. It's dumb from Pochettino, and I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why in his brain he thought we need to sit off a little bit more. We need to not try to risk it to go for this game right now. Because there's no logical explanation as to why you would want to wait until the penalty kick shootout. Why you would want to just bide your time. Why you wouldn't try to get the ball down the field and really put them under pressure. It's ridiculous. His subs also didn't help anything. Madueke is not in good form right now. He had a decent run of games there where he was playing well. He was scoring a couple goals. Done nothing since then. And now he's become a disruptive force whenever he's on the pitch. He's disruptive. He's selfish. He's trying to do too much on his own, and it costs us. And yet, he's somebody you turn to. Mudryk, I can at least grant you a little bit just because, I mean, it's still 0-0, which means Liverpool are not going to be packing it in. So, yeah, he's going to have some room to run in behind. That being said, we've also not seen him for a little while. I cannot remember. I think he came in maybe against Villa, but I'm pretty sure he didn't play against City. I don't think he played against Palace. So we've not really seen much of him. He's not going to come in and suddenly just be fantastic again. I do think this is a game where we could have utilized his pace and what he's good at doing, breaking down the line. But you can't just not play him and then suddenly throw him into a game after he hasn't played for a while and go, hey, go do it. Go do the one thing that you're good at doing. So, yeah, those 2 subs didn't really help us. And Cuckoo coming on, not terrible. It just, for me, I'm thinking I'd like to see what we could do with him in behind Jackson. Him at 10, Jackson at 9. What would that be? So instead of taking off Sterling, so now Nkuku has to be the left wing, take off Gallagher. Because Gallagher, while he has been playing well recently, he wasn't doing fantastic today. He had quite a few missed chances, in fact, that really solidified that point in the second half. So, yeah, just a couple of really weird decisions. And then again, you throw on Chalaba as your last sub in extra time. Just, oh, let's just pack it in. Let's take off Chilwell, who, to be fair, was not having a great game, but still, he has got some pace. He's got some quality on the ball. Let's just throw him in. Now we got to throw Gusto over to the left side. And now we've got Chalaba on the right side going up against Diaz. That's going to be a good matchup, right? Gusto, who's been mostly keeping Diaz quiet all game, let's throw him to the left side now and throw in somebody who's not really been playing too much, isn't a right back to begin with, and let's hope he can maybe keep Diaz quiet. Oh no, Diaz is suddenly looking really dangerous now that Chalaba's on. But and also, it's a defensive sub. It's one that makes it feel like you're just playing to keep it 0-0. You're just playing to, hey guys, let's just hold on for penalties when you should be trying to take the game to them. So anyways, that's my long rant about Pochettino for this match. And that's the overall thoughts on these past 4 matches from an overall coaching management perspective. If I'm looking more individually, so Petrovic in goal has done okay recently. I thought today he made a lot of really good saves and some really important saves as well. There's just still those moments where I feel like we need a better keeper. We need somebody who is on that world-class level because we haven't had that for a while. Kepa was not that. Mendy was not that. Thought he could have been at one point, but he's not. Sanchez is clearly not that. Petrovic is not that. Honestly, I'm kind of comparing Petrovic to Kepa now because he'll make some good saves. He'll make some important saves. He's decent with his feet, but not great. But there are moments where you can see the header comes to the back post and he's not ready. As soon as the header comes in, back on his heels, watching it. Oh, thank God, it hit the post. Like, that's a Kepa thing. That is my whole problem with Kepa is how unwilling he was to move his feet if it wasn't right at him. If it was a little bit away from him, I'm going to watch it. It was frustrating. And that's where Petrovic is. So we need, if we want to truly be challenging for anything, we need a world-class keeper. We need an Alisson. I'm not even a big fan of Henderson, but he's quality. Some of the other keepers at the other clubs, I look at Onana, that's why Man U's not doing great. Raya at Arsenal, he's serviceable, but it's more so their defense that I think is helping them play well. But he's a good, solid keeper, doesn't make any clear and obvious mistakes. So it suits them. But, I mean, Alisson and Henderson are clear, good keepers. They are quality keepers. So you need them to step up and make some great saves. They're going to do that for you. Alisson more so than Henderson, but still. We don't have that. Petrovic is not going to make those game-changing saves all the time. He made a couple today. I'll give him that. But on the whole of it, on the majority of it, he's not making those saves that make you go, holy crap, how did he just do that? It doesn't happen that often. It's very rare that it does. And there are moments when the goals that go in, they're not ones that I'm expecting him to save, but those are kind of the things that differentiates the world-class keepers from the average keepers. Those saves that you don't expect them to make, but they do. That's a world-class. Petrovic isn't on that level, unfortunately. So, but over the past 4 matches, like I said, he's made some good saves. Today, he made some great saves. I just think the goal today, not one that I expect him to make, but if he does, that's what makes him a world-class keeper. So, in the defense, Gusto has actually been in a good run of form right now. I don't know if that's going to last because he had a pretty decent run of form previously and then went on a run of 3 or 4 matches where he was awful. He's one of our worst players on the pitch. So he's just kind of up and down right now. Right now he's in his up. Today was a little bit more mixed. I thought his performance against City was nearly flawless. Today his defensive performance was solid. On the ball he was pretty bad. A lot of missed touches, a lot of bad passes, moments where you want a little bit more quality in the final third. But it's good to see him playing well though, because you want to have somebody challenging James. You don't want it to be easy for him to just step back in and be like, all right, I'm back and I'm ready to play. Like, no, you have to win your place back now, which is good because he needs to be pushing himself more. Not to the point of injury, obviously. I'll throw that caveat in there. But yeah, it's a good challenge for him, I think. Disasi, I think, is also in a good run of form right now. Had a couple of moments in the Villa and the Palace games, but against City, really, really good performance. Like, overall, probably the best performance he's had since he's joined us this season. Today, back to his usual self. Those moments of, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting us under pressure? Why are you taking 3 or 4 touches whenever you know there's somebody that's about to put pressure on you? You got to play quicker than that. You got to be on your toes, ready to play, not just sitting there like, oh yeah, it's so easy to play this. Oh shit, like that's not what we need in the back. And unfortunately, he's had a few moments of that throughout the season. Today was one of the games that showcased why he's not one of the best defenders in the league. He's quality, he has moments, but he also has moments of a little scared to have him back there. Colwill, just not great right now. He's come back from injury. He's thankfully not at left back anymore, which means he's playing a little bit better because he's more suited, I think, into the center, but he's still not great. He's still got a lot of gaps in his game. He's still too easy to beat defensively, too easy to beat in the air, not great at reading runs and tracking runners. It's too easy to play to get past him and score and get a good chance. There's too many moments where that's happening, and so many people wanted him to be, the next big thing, the next captain, the next John Terry, blah, 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 all that stuff. Unfortunately, he's not. He's not at that level. And honestly, he's not even close. I would say he's maybe half the defender Terry was. That's not good. I mean, Terry was a great defender, and yes, being half of that means you're a good defender. We don't need good. Good defenders play at teams like, Wolves, Brighton, Newcastle, your other mid-table sides, the ones that are not challenging for the top 4. Obviously, Newcastle did last year. Don't correct me. But we need defenders that are going to be good quality, great defenders, have moments where they're saving matches. He hasn't really had that recently. He started the season well, but recently it's really dropped off to where he's more suited to a mid-table side, and we don't want to be a mid-table side, even though we are. Chilwell, not his best performance today. He's been pretty good over the past few matches, though. I thought he played well at Villa and Palace and played really well against Man City. But yeah, today was just not a great performance from him. It looks like he can't even handle Connor Bradley. And I know Bradley seems like he's a great player. What I've seen from him, he just got some pace to him. He works hard. He's not got like a ton of skill that you should just be like, oh my gosh, he's fantastic. We make him look better than he is. We did in the loss against them at Anfield. We made him look great again today because all you got to do is just be on your toes and ready to play. If you're on your toes, if you're reading the play and you're not standing there just watching, and then, oh, there's the ball. Okay, now I can go. If you're not doing that, probably would do pretty well against Connor Bradley. The problem is most of our players are not playing like that. They are playing on their heels. They are watching, waiting for the ball to come to them. And Connor Bradley's a player that he's always chasing stuff down. He's always running. He's always on his toes, ready to go. So yeah, you play against him on your heels, you're going to make him look fantastic. So yeah, I don't understand why we have so many players that like to play that way. That like to play on their heels and then, oh, now I got to go. It's too late. So many times we lost out on 50-50 challenges because of that. So, but I expect Joel to get better. He's still kind of returning from injury. He's had games that have looked really good. So I'm not too concerned about him, but overall, I do think he needs to cut these games out if he wants to really progress and be one of the best left backs in the league. Caicedo and Fernandez, both have been hit or miss. Fernandez have been more hits over the past few games than misses. Caicedo has been more misses than hits. I thought they were both fantastic against City. Today, they were both pretty poor. And then Villa and Palace, I thought Fernandez was good. Caicedo was bad. It's just kind of been up and down for both of them. And when they're both playing well, we can take on Man City. When they're both playing poorly, Liverpool's kids are running over us. So that's kind of what you're stuck with. On the wings, you've got, again, Matty Wake. I think he's in his run of form again where he is just very selfish, trying to do too much on his own, thinks he's the hot shit, and he's not. He's got some quality, he's got some pace. He's not a player, he's not your Eden Hazard. He cannot take on everybody. He can't take on the world, but he tries. And when you're playing those smaller sides, yeah, he might pop up with something. He might be able to take on Palace defenders. You're taking on Man City, you're taking on Liverpool. Nope. He's going to give you jack shit. And that's what we saw from him today. Sterling, I think, has been okay recently. He's kind of been up and down in form throughout the season. I think he's been in a bit better of a form over the past couple games. I thought he played well against City. I thought he played okay today. Should have had a goal, except for VAR once again deciding that the very edge of a sleeve is where you draw that offside line. It's very funny too that happened against Liverpool before with Lukaku, and now here it is again happening with Jackson. It's like, oh look, see, it's right there. He's just barely off. I'm like, you didn't even draw the little line to show us what you're connected for the defender. You guys are really just. I'm sorry. We are the ones that bought VAR because Caicedo was going to step down, and Gravenberch's foot got caught up underneath it, and that wasn't a red card. So VAR clearly was working for us. Oh, and they called offside whenever Endo, who was offside, stood in front of a defender that was trying to. Yeah, clearly we're the ones that bought VAR, not Liverpool, who once again get a goal chalked off for the opposition because of it was the sleeve that played him offside. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, Sterling, solid overall. Palmer looked good today, but finishing, he really rides the highs and then the lows for his finishing. He 1-on-1 against who was it, Luton's keeper. Phenomenal, just nice little roll, looks quality, looks class, and then all of a sudden goes to Middlesbrough and can't finish to save his life. Today, I mean, so many moments where he's got to finish that. Oh, he kicked it right at the keeper? Okay, so it's one of those games. And yeah, I mean, that's basically throughout the entire match. That's where he was. It was good play overall, good performance, terrible finishing, and look at what happened. Mudryk, I mean, hasn't really featured, so not much to say about him individually. Jackson, I think, is starting to grow back into it. I think maybe having some time away, maybe having some international duty, maybe that helped him a little bit because I think he's looked pretty solid over the past few matches. He's looked good. He's not great. He still has his holes. He still has his gaps in his game, but I think overall he looks pretty good now. He's working hard. He's got the pace back. He's taken on defenders. He's actually got a pretty decent touch now. He's played some great balls in behind and also made some good runs in behind. It's still got his moments, the one-on-ones with the keeper that he puts right at the keeper. He still has those. But I think his overall play is benefiting the team a lot more right now. And I thought today was another pretty good performance from him. I thought he played well against City, too. So, yeah, I think it's one of those, again, you look at the finishing, you look at those moments like your Werner moments. Of course, you're going to look at it and go, he's terrible. But I think if you look at his overall play right now, I think he's in a good run of form, and I think the goals will hopefully come soon. As far as Nkunku, I mean, need a little bit more from him, if I'm being honest. Like, he looks okay. He has his moments of quality on the ball, but I feel like there's something lacking right now. There's something that is keeping him from being a world beater. That player that we were waiting to get back from injury because it's going to take us into a fight for the top four. We haven't had that from him. He's had a few good moments, but they haven't been great. So I don't know. I don't know what's missing from him right now. I don't know why he's not quite on it, but it's a little frustrating because there are several moments today, especially, that I feel like he could have changed the game. And again, for City, when he came on, we didn't have that hard work rate that we saw from Jackson before, and that really helped City to dominate the rest of the match. Then finally for Gallagher, I mean, he's in a good run of form right now too. So today his finishing let him down, but overall his work rate and what he's been doing for the team, I think, has really benefited us at the moment. So, but yeah, that's it for these 4 games though. Don't really know what to expect now. Again, this was a big kick in the teeth to lose a final in this fashion against that team. It just sucks, and it's one of those that it could either really spur them on and be like, hey, now we got to fight for the FA Cup, or it could make them go, gosh, can't believe we didn't win today, and then they're going to go and get knocked out by Leeds, and then we'll lose the next 3 matches because I'm actually able to talk about them now. I really hope that's not it. It's like anytime I can do a review, we're going to lose. Anytime I can't, that's when we start playing well. That would suck. I want to actually have fun doing these reviews, not just bash on people. But anyways, with all that being said, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these last 4 matches? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.